end off with what you can do starting tomorrow. Because as a speaker, my goal is always not only to enlighten you and get you to think, I want to get you to act. And I want to get you to act in a way that you can do tomorrow, you can do it easily, you can do it consistently, and you can get some tangible results out of it. So that's how we're going to wrap up today. 5 steps. The first is to define your current grade. And that's simply the answer to that question. What do you want to be known for? Harder than it sounds, but it's a really, really good place to start. What is your current grade? Then I want you to figure out how others perceive you. This is the hard one. This is where you might find some answers that are a little uncomfortable, a little bit surprising, sometimes positively surprising. When I began this journey, as I released my book, I had several people say, you know, you're funny. Am I? I never ever thought of myself as funny. And they said you really need to amp up your humor a little bit because you've got a good sense of humor. You need to use that to differentiate yourself, right? Distinct from all the other speakers who may have great content but don't necessarily inject modern examples and humor into it. Okay, so that was an interesting part of my perception. Yes?
How would you recommend doing that? Did you just go out and ask different people you know? Do you
random strangers on the road.
Exactly. How am I being perceived with this handshake? Yeah.
Exactly. Let me tell you a few people not to ask. Don't ask your boss. Don't ask your direct reports, because neither of them are going to be particularly honest. Don't ask your spouse, whatever you do, because they're going to go, oh, Lord.
Yeah.
What I suggest is mentors are wonderful people to ask, and tell them you want them to be honest, you're ready for it. Prior coworkers are always good, people that you had a good relationship with, but perhaps you don't have to interact daily anymore, so there's no chance of there being any problems created that way. You can do friends if you want, but just realize that a lot of people are going to kind of tread softly. And you want the people who are willing to take it a step beyond that. The people that really are able to say,
honest feedback.
Yeah, sometimes you can be a little standoffish because maybe I perceive that as professional. Or you can be really bossy. I thought I was a leader. You don't seem to give your opinion very much. You're so quiet, I kind of forget you're there. Well, I'm a team player. Same behavior, different perceptions, right? And so as I said, if you are acting a particular way or presenting yourself a particular way, thinking it will get you the perception that you want, it might not be. And that's what you're really trying to figure out with step number 2. Chances are, guys, these aren't going to be huge gaps. They're going to be small gaps. And oftentimes, the good news is the little behavior modifications you make can change it very quickly and very effectively. I worked with an executive who was brought into a new organization, and it just wasn't going the way that the leadership team wanted it to. So they brought me in to do some coaching with her. And one of the things that she was perceived as being was inaccessible and not open to ideas and just not a good team leader. And so I observed her one day, and she would literally walk into the office, walk through the cubicles of the 30-some-odd people that reported to her, say something to her secretary, go into her office, and close the door. That's a huge, huge nonverbal statement, right? So we talked about that. And one of the first thing I told her to do, leave your door open. Next thing I told her to do, she'd come from Dallas, Haley, very different environment for dress. She was always dressed to the nines. She was coming to work for a nonprofit association in Austin, Texas. So she intimidated the hell out of these people that worked for her because she looked like she was walking out of Vanity Fair all the time. So we had her tone down the dress a little bit. Then it was little things like, as you come through, say, how was your weekend, Bruce? Was it good? Did you have fun? Weren't you going to the coast for the weekend fishing? Did you catch anything? That's it. 3 minutes out of her day completely changes the experience other people that heard that encounter had. So we worked on things like that, and within 90 days, they re-evaluated her employees, and they had a different perception of it. So again, this isn't about going from country western to hard rock. This is about tweaking with the volume. Yes?
What about from customer surveys? Is there a reason not to use that? Or
Not at all. As long as they feel like they can be candid. That's the key, is you want people who are going to be candid about you. And you're right. It's not just what am I like, it's what is my service like, what are my products like, what's my pricing like, what's my customer support like. That's a really good point. As we talked about, the brands are blended. And so it can't just be, you know, talking to your mentor or your sister-in-law or whoever and saying, what am I like as a person? That's part of it. Again, because that professional and that personal brand are the same. But it does go beyond that to how am I as a service provider or as a, you know, employee or as a coworker or whatever it might be.